Hey family, love you, miss you. We've been talking about Samuel. Now Samuel gets really old, like we all do, and his kids are pretty crummy, just like Eli's kids. They're not very good. They don't really love the Lord. So all the elders of Israel come up to Samuel and say, "We don't want your kids to be in charge of us. We want you to give us a king." And Samuel talks to God about this, and God says, "You need to listen to the people, because this is good, because your kids are bad, and I want to give them a king. But warn them about what a king will do." So I'm going to read to you what he warned him about. He said, "This is what a king will reign over you, who reigns over you, will do. He will take all of your sons. He'll take your sons and make them serve as his chariot, with his chariots and his horses to run in battle. He'll make them be commanders. He'll help make them plow his ground. He'll make him reap his harvest. They'll make weapons and equipment. He'll take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, and bakers. He'll take," have you heard that a bunch already? "He will take the best of your fields and vineyards and olive groves and those that attend them. He will take a tenth of your grain to give to all of his officials and attendants. He'll take your men servants and maid servants. He'll take the best of your cows and donkeys. He will take all of this for his own use. He'll take a tenth of the flocks, and he will make and you yourselves will become his slaves." People refused to listen, and they said, "Give us a king." So Samuel said, "Let's do it," because that's what God said. So there was a man whose name was Saul. The Bible says he was an impressive young man, and he was head and shoulders. He was a head taller than every other person. Alright, so think about somebody that's impressive. Like, I've always considered myself very average. But think about somebody that's impressive, like a movie star or The Rock. Just somebody that's everybody thinks is really handsome and that's really tall and really big. That's the way Saul was. Okay? So Saul's daddy had some donkeys, and the donkeys got lost. So Saul's daddy said, "I want you to take a servant, y'all go look for the donkeys." So they went all over the place looking for the donkeys in all these cities. And finally Saul said, "Hey, we've been gone so long, Dad's not going to care about the donkeys anymore, and he's just going to start caring about us and worrying that we got lost. So let's go back." And the man said, "Well, why don't we see if we can, I heard there's this man called a seer, and they're supposedly God talks to them and they know stuff, so let's go see him." And Saul says, "Well, we don't have anything to give him. We don't have any food. I don't have anything with me." And the servant said, "Well, I got a little bit of money." So they went and they asked the ladies that were coming out of the town about the seer. And they said, "Well, you'll see him up at the top of the mountain. They're going to have a harvest. They're going to have a sacrifice, and nobody can eat at the meal after the sacrifice, or as the sacrifice is being made, because the seer has to bless the food before any of that stuff can happen." So they start walking up that way, and they run into Samuel. And the day before, the Lord had actually told Samuel that the man that is going to be king, he's going to come up to you, and you're going to see him tomorrow. So that day, as they were coming together, Saul was going up and Samuel was going up, and God said to Samuel, "That's the guy right there. He's the one." So God starts doing these really impressive things, and just to show that he's real, and he tells all Samuel a bunch of stuff Samuel shouldn't know because he wasn't around. And this is what Samuel says. Yes, I am the seer, because Saul comes up and says, are you the seer? He says, yes, I am. And go up ahead of me to the high place, for today you will eat with me. In the morning I'll let you know all that's in your heart. As for the donkeys you've been looking for, he shouldn't have known about that, but he does. Don't worry about them, they've been found. And then he gives this little hint about something that's going to happen. He says, as for the desire of all of Israel is it not turned to you and all of your family. Basically, he's saying, you're going to be a superstar. All of Israel's going to know about you. Okay? So, as they got up, they went and up to the festival, or to the sacrifice. And Samuel said, yeah, I knew you were coming, so I set apart just this really awesome food, and he gave him a big portion of food. And the next morning they got up, and Samuel told the servant to go on ahead. And as the servant went on ahead, he took Samuel. And God had decided that that's the guy he wanted. He took Saul. God had decided that that's the person he wanted to be king, so Samuel took Saul. And he poured oil all over his head and anointed him. And what oil represents in the Bible is that God's presence is coming, and it's going to be really big on a person, okay? So he poured oil all over his head, and he kissed him. And he told him a bunch of stuff that was going to happen the next day. He says, you're going to run into these people, they're going to have this much bread, they're going to have all this stuff, this many people are going to be with them. And he just gave him all these instructions. And he said, but at the very end of it, he says, you're going to come up with come around a whole bunch of people prophesying. And when that happens, it says, the Spirit of the Lord will come upon you with power, and you will prophesy with them, and you will be changed into a different person once these signs have been fulfilled. So that's what happens to us when the presence of the Lord comes on us. It completely changes us. We don't want to be bad anymore. We want to do good. We want to read the Bible. We want to pray. We want to be patient. And we don't want to have anything to do with sin. At the very beginning of Saul's becoming king, it was all really good. And God wanted it to happen. And God made his special presence being on Saul. And later it got kind of sad, but at the very beginning it was really awesome. So, see if I can get any questions here. Okay, question number 1. What color shirt am I wearing? I don't know why I think that's funny. Tell me about Samuel's kids. Were they good or bad? So the elders came up to Samuel and they said, this is what we want. And Samuel didn't like it, but he prayed, and who said that that's what he wanted also? Not just the elders, but somebody else really important. But God told Samuel, be sure and warn them. So he warned them what a king would do, and the king would, one main word he would do a lot of, 4-letter word, starts with T. Okay, so explain Saul. What was he like? What did his dad lose? So they went to find them, and then they went to look for the seer, who was Samuel. And did Samuel know they were coming? And he told them about his donkeys, and he told them he was all of Israel was really looking forward to having this. And then poured oil on his head. What does the oil represent? And Then he told them the very next day, you're going to see a bunch of prophets, and when you see them, something's going to come on you. What was it? When that happens, this is going to happen to you. You're going to be a... Love you guys. Have a good night.